Jeff,
I'm here.
what's up, man?
What's going on, dude?
What's going on?
Well, this is great,
Hey,
guys.
long time no see, man.
I know. Just so you know, this is how Jeff and I check in. Like,
Right.
we do now we do Zoom. These are band meetings, basically. You think they're interviews? They're really just band meetings for me and Jeff.
Well,
We
go
gotta
ahead.
get to catch up on where we are with our progress.
Take it from here. If you got something you got to nail down, absolutely. Well, it's a pleasure, Jeff. I tried to nail you down about a month ago because I'm such a fan of the new W.E.T album, but it took the man here, David Ellefson, and this new duo that you guys have created to make this all happen. And look at this. This is kind of a mega powers exploding here. Welcome. It's been a few years, man.
I'm going to have a word with my people then. If you haven't been able to reach me for do something like this, then yeah, there's something wrong in the universe.
Well, the last time I think we saw you was here in Kansas City at the TSO show a couple years ago, back when, touring and live events and people, it's this weird thing that happened prior to 2020.
Normal. I get it.
Well, for you guys, this is great. And welcome both of you to the Music Mania podcast. You've both been on separately. David's now almost a co-host. He's been on so much keeps popping up for him, which is wonderful. But for you guys, we're here to talk about your new single, a cover of RIOT, Swords, and Tequila. I guess, Jeff, starting with you, how did this happen? I never really would have thought of or connected the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon dots from you to David Ellefson. How do you guys know each other and how did this happen?
Well, clearly David and I are connected by many of cohorts and resources. I mean, musically, of course, our main guy, our main go-between, the 6 degrees of Al Petrelli, I guess would be the proper term. Al, I've known since 1990, I think it was when we first met, and for the better part of 30 some odd years. And obviously Al was in Megadeth for a period of time, but that's where he broke his bread with David. And that's pretty much how we met. I mean, during the TSO runs, obviously David and I have known of each other through the years and we have the mutual respect, but it wasn't until that kind of go between of Al Petrelli to finally meet. And obviously musically, we both meet in different worlds. And it was one of those things. It's about time, it's David and I basically started working together because he had a song that he wanted me to sing on. He's always working on something. He's always, just like me, we're always
I've noticed
spinning our wheels. And he basically threw me a few bucks to sing on a song last year. It came out great. I knocked it out for him really quickly. And I guess I kind of stuck in the back of his brain. I can kind of rely on Jeff if I need him for something. He's not going to blow me off and say, turn it in 6 months later. And it came full circle. He kind of reached out again to do some more stuff. And I said, you don't have to pay me for this. I have a feeling we're going to be doing a lot of stuff together. Let's just do it and see what happens with it. We had no intent on releasing it or starting a new band or a new project, new album, whatever. We have our hands full and tied with so many other things. We just decided, let's just see what it sounds like if we collaborate and do some stuff together. From that, we've got something like 14 or 15 songs. And we decided, we're on to something. I think we better follow up on and see if we can get some interest from it. And it seems to be the interest is coming from left, right, and center. It's blowing up. People are excited about this.
Well, David, why this song? I mean, RIOT's one of those bands that's either like they're your favorite band or you don't know who they are. It's very strange. They have one of those, one of those New York City bands that kind of formed in the mid 70s. And why this song? You just did an album called No Cover last year. Right. Why was this kind of the first song to kind of get you guys your ship sailing here?
Well, it wasn't the first song we actually worked on. It was funny. We kind of it just hit me one day when we were, we're already riffing through, God, probably a half a dozen tunes at least, maybe upwards of 10 songs we kind of had that we were floating back and forth between me and Jeff and my guitar player, Andy Martingelli over in Verona, Italy. He and I have a good collaborative spirit on stuff. And I think the time zones work well, when I'm sleeping, he's riffing, and when I'm awake, he's sleeping. And, but it just hit me out of nowhere. Like a lot of these things, I was like, God, how about Swords and Tequila? It just felt right. You know what I mean? When you get in with a group of people, these covers and these sort of things, they kind of present themselves based on the temperature in the room, and Jeff's voice, I think, probably lent a little bit to that. And you're right, RIOT, to me, I heard them first on that Castle Donington Monsters of Rock album. In fact, I actually just
Same.
bought a copy, right? I just bought a copy on Amazon. I was like, I got to get a copy of this. I remember when I was like 16, the drummer in my band in Minnesota, he walked in, like he brought in the Def Leppard On Through the Night album, Heaven and Hell, Scorpions Love Drive. I mean, these were all kind of the next wave of really cutting edge records, you know. And it was, you know, mostly European stuff and, you know, then Maiden and Venom and Motorhead and, you know, all this new wave of British heavy metal. And RIOT was on that record along with April Wine and Rainbow with Graham Bonnet and
amazing.
You know, and now, of course, now it's known as the Download Festival, but it started back then with, it was called
Castle Donington,
Monsters Rock. And that was where I first heard of RIOT. And it's funny because Guy Speranza, who is the original singer, who I was still, to me, is the voice of RIOT. You know, and has since passed away. They, to me, were kind of like this USA representation of the new wave of British heavy metal. You know, and yeah, that movement, I mean, look, out of it, Def Leppard, Maiden, you know, Motorhead, but there's other bands like Diamond Head, Tigers of Pain Tang. There's a, you know, handful that didn't go as far, you know, that for whatever reason, songs, management, record companies, whatever, they just didn't quite make the turn. Some of those now Metallica has made very famous.
Yeah, very
like
true.
Diamond Head. Thank God for Metallica. They gave careers to bands 20 years after their careers were over, you know, royalty checks coming in. I'm sure they could buy houses, you know. God bless them for doing that. But, you know, so this.
Still waiting for them to cover one of my songs. Damn it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, any day now. Any day. Yeah.
Surely they know some Axel Rudy Pell from back in the day.
Exactly. So that's it. You know, it's funny. We actually were working on another song because, you know, it's funny. I was just talking to Andy on WhatsApp, Jeff, right? This is our band meeting here right before we got on here. And I think we're up to like 17 songs, you know, and so it's, and some of these we just kind of send back and forth as you would in any band. You're in a room, you jam some stuff. Hey, I got an idea. How about this? And some of it's like, whoa, awesome. You know, it keeps you up at night because you're so excited. Other stuff is like, you know, maybe set it to the side. You know, I'm of the opinion that some songs just write themselves right there in the room. And then others, you know, take time. You know, you got to put them on the back burner. They're simmering away. It's like cooking a meal. You know, you got the main course in the oven and then other little things you got to kind of tend to on the side. And, you know, some songs make the cut. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're better served over in another setting. And I think that's, like Jeff said, that's the fun of this is we're not attached from either a kind of a creative or an ego point of view that that's my song. I have to get it on here. And that probably comes because we've worked so much with so many people. And
I was going to say,
kind of wear it like a loose garment, if you will, you know, and you kind of, you know, you want to be committed to it, but you don't have to just get married to it right away. And sometimes I think in these worlds that we live in, you know, you get some second set of ears on it as we get out of the studio with it. We let some other people hear it. And those people can help, you know, sometimes hear things in a different setting because it is the business of music. So right now we're in the music of music. And then after we get done with this little phase, we'll put it out to some friends and they'll, excuse me, they'll let us know if it fits somewhere, you know, for the business.
Well, I think it does. And you can check out the video on YouTube right now. It's tremendous. So Jeff, for you, you're also trading off lead vocals on this song with Rick Hughes from Sword. What was that like? I mean, he adds a whole new element to it because your guys' voices are just, you know, both amazing, but both so different. And what was it kind of like bringing him in on this song?
Well, this was a David call. I wasn't very familiar with Sword or Rick. You know, when he came to me with the idea, he basically said, you know, I love this guy's voice. I love this band. And I think the connection of Swords and Tequila with the singer from Sword and the fact that he's a great singer, great guy, and you guys have such different voices. To be honest with you, when he sent me the original idea of the duo singing thing, I was thinking, oh geez, I better go redo my stuff because Rick is pretty much just blow me out of the water. You know, I tried to kind of stay within the context of the original version because, again, as we were talking about RIOT and that particular song, it's one of those things, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I didn't want to get all JSS on it. I wanted to try to stay as true to form. So I didn't really go outside the box. Whereas Rick, he was hitting high notes and more metal, and he basically put his element on it. And I listen back and I go, man, I probably should be more in competition with him in terms of the trade-off, as opposed to, okay, well, it sounds like I'm just staying normal with it while he's going off. And then I sat back and I thought, you know what, maybe that's actually a better idea, because if it starts sounding like a competition, it's going to sound like it's two singers trying to outdo each other, as opposed to making the best version of that song, the best cover version of that song. So I honed it back. I kept my original vocal, and Rick did his thing. And I think it works really well that way.
Oh, it absolutely does. And, I want to get into, now that we've got you here and I've got you, I've got you surrounded, I got to talk about the new W.E.T album. It's retransmission.
Perfect
it's
timing. I think David had a cough attack. That's why.
Yeah. There's a cough button for that, by the way. I did it earlier. W.E.T, this new W.E.T album, we're early in 2021, but Jeff, I'm calling it right now, and I'm not just kissing your ass here. It's the best rock album of 2021. It's over. I'm calling it. It's melodic as hell. The hooks for days. I love this album, and anyone that I've showed this record, people are just going nuts for. And so,
thank you.
Tell us about kind of what the reception's been like. And I know it's been out just for a couple of months now. What's the reception been like on your end?
Overall, it's been exactly as you called it. I mean, it's a lot of people are hearkening it to the first album, debut album, in terms of their favorite since then. A lot are basically they're saying it's our best outing since that first album. And I personally don't agree. I think we've progressed and we've grown, and I love all four records equally. I think there was some great stuff on Earth Rage. There was great stuff on Rise Up. And I think it's a natural progression of what this project, because I can't really call it a band. We're not a band tours, a band does shows. We've done a handful of shows. We've never done a tour. So it's more of a studio project. Is something that we can show the best of where we come from and put it into this. And that's basically what W.E.T is about. And that's pretty much what I'm doing with David, where he's not trying to take leftover stuff from Megadeth and I'm taking leftover stuff. He's got a lot of original stuff a lot of output that he's just using his influence. And I'm doing the same. I'm not taking anything old or borrowed, or I'm just going into it with a fresh idea, fresh ears. And it's exactly, it's what we do with W.E.T. Those guys are great at what they do, and they're basically honing those items together, and that's the outcome. And that's what I'm doing with David.
Well, we got David back just in time. I've just been kissing Jeff's ass for the last 5 minutes or so, talking about
you should.
The new W.E.T album. Have you heard the new W.E.T album, David? It's phenomenal.
You probably
You know what? I have not, and I will.
Oh, I'm sorry. I put him on the spot right here.
Well, no, and it's normal, because it just like I haven't heard most of the no covers. I've heard a couple of the ones that were on YouTube. We're so busy, and I got to be honest. This is by no stretch or by no disrespect whatsoever. People ask me all the time, what are you listening to lately? What is new that you can share with us? I can't share anything. I don't have time to listen to music. I'm so slammed every single day. And I'm not kidding. I'm busy every day with 5 or 6 different things I'm juggling all the time, that all my energies are put into that. By the time I'm done working for the day, the last thing I want to do is listen to music. I basically want to just chill, watch a TV show, have dinner, and just kind of, decompress. So I don't really listen to a lot of new stuff. All my friends, Portnoy, I'm in a band with, and I haven't heard any of the stuff that he's putting out, where normally I would take the time to be familiar with my collaborators and my cohorts, other stuff.
Yeah, no question about it. And David, for you, someone that, like you said, you wake up and you live in that studio that you're sitting in right there. I mean, you're just constantly nose to the grindstone. I mean, in the last year, do you feel like that it's for you, it's kind of allowed you the time to be able to do a lot of these things? Because obviously nobody, would have wished a COVID on the world. Nobody would have wished, the tour with Lamb of God to be canceled. That was a huge tour, that we sure hope, comes up again. But do you think that it's been beneficial in some kind of a strange way?
Yeah. I mean, look, I think these collaborations, they happen in so many different ways now, because people are home, they're anxious, they're bored, they're sort of, thinking about creating things in different ways. I mean, that no cover record happened strictly because we'd been doing a bunch of live streams with the David Ellefson Youth Music Foundation when we partnered up with the Grammys on that. And that all of a sudden we had everybody's number is like, hey, you want to sing on this song we're doing? Hey, you want to play drums on this, track on this? And that's how our world really is. Like Jeff said, I'll go down and I'll see TSO And, to see him and Al. And it's funny because Al, what does he say, Jeff? He's the most famous unknown guy ever.
Yeah.
And that's like his goal. That's his goal. Like I talk
Yeah.
about Al so much in all my interviews because, he's been such a good friend to me. Excuse me. And he's just got great, kind of practical working musician advice, even when he was in Megadeth, with me. So I'll go down and I'll see, Jeff and Angus and Al and everybody and just kind of catch up, and that's kind of what this is. This is so much about being in music has nothing to do with music. It's like, can you hang? We always say that, it's one thing to be able to write a song, play together, but then you go out in the Yellow Submarine for 18 months to promote a record. And that's where the rubber meets the road, So I think when there's just kind of a good hang together, and that's what we're seeing, a lot this last year. You see Charlie Benante and Alex Skolnick. These guys are the masters of these Foursquare Zoom collaborations. And, I've been part of a couple myself, but I think probably Jeff and I are alike in that we don't really maybe do the Zoom collaborations as much as we like to just make masters. We like to make records and recordings because those things will live forever. I guess YouTube stuff will live forever too. But it's nice to have a body of work and sort of this vault of material that, that gets recorded and created kind of out of the blue that none of us would have expected would have ever even happened.
And strangely, I find it ironic that COVID has actually kind of halted my day job in terms of the things that I normally do. Okay, TSO, that wasn't obvious. We weren't going to be able to do the tour last year, but all the other things that I'm doing from my band Soto to Sons of Apollo, we're not in any kind of creative mode whatsoever in terms of, okay, maybe we should take this time to start honing and following up. More of these kinds of things have come out of the COVID situation than my own personal stuff. And I find that an amazing thing to add to what I normally do because I'm able to channel other areas. I'm able to channel even the boredom or the need for therapy that I get out of music into the things I'm doing, like what we're doing here. And, the only reference you have so far, Clint, is the Swords and Tequila thing. Wait till you hear what we're actually doing on an original level.
Cannot wait for that, you guys. I've been such a fan of this, and the fact that there are record labels out there like Frontiers, for instance, Jeff, or for Ellefson Records, those kind of partnerships to have a place for these kind of recordings to get out there and get packaged and sent to the masses. How important is that, David? Because obviously you're have a strong end on that on your own record label, right. and Jeff for the W.E.T album coming out on Frontiers, which just pumps out content constantly, right. and it helps, and it makes it feel as if there is still tangible music out there that you want to go and seek out and buy. I think it's really helpful.
Well, that's the whole reason why I put that EMP label group thing together. It stands for Ellefson Music Production. It's just an acronym. Was because I wanted to have a place where I could at least put out my own records, my own productions, things that nothing's worse than spending a bunch of time recording something. And then you got to walk around the music business with your tin cup out begging for someone to give you some, can you please put my record out? And we're friends with all these guys, and Monty Connor and Brian Slagle and, all the guys in the business and the metal world and the rock world. And sometimes they just don't have space for it. It doesn't interest them. So I was like, well, I'll just kind of carve through that. And at least I've got a place where I can put stuff if I want to. And even for some of my friends, who wanted to put records out, Ron Keel and, people, friends of mine, so, so that's where that started. Now that's not the only place I can go. So that's, sometimes, it's finding the right home, if you have other aspirations for different things for it. So, but to tell you what, to have a distribution deal like I have, I realize that when I've got this movie, this Dwellers, this little found footage film that my friend Drew brought over to me, I'm like, wait a minute, I have a distribution company. Let me call them, hey, can I put a film out through this? Of course you can. I was like, well, guess I'm in the film business, so that's, it's really a blessing to have that. And because they're hard to get, so to have landed it and have it secured, it's a pretty cool little perk. And I always tell people, hey, look, while we're doing this, let's shoot for the stars and go for the biggest thing we can. And if nothing else, I can put it out through my label and we can find resources to fund it and do all these kind of things.
And that's the other thing too. We don't really have an intent. It's not the old teenage dream. Hey, let's put a band together. Let's get signed and let's be the next big thing. You know, we're doing this first from the love of it, because we have the resource, we have the background, the name of, the names of where we come from, etc. And that gives us the opportunity to actually get people to listen to it, for people to actually be interested, like yourself and others that will finally get it out to. But the bottom line is we're doing this because we want to do it. And if 5 people buy it, it's good enough for us, in terms of we wanted to do this together for the sake of just crafting something and seeing what it'd sound like for us to do something together.
Yeah, and the reception has been tremendous. Absolutely, can't wait to see what's next. And I think a lot of people agree with that. And David, I've just seen Dwellers. Actually, you brought that up. Not to give our good friend True 48 a big head or anything, but it's winning awards like Best Feature at Screenwriting Festival, Best Director, Best Horror Feature. I really enjoyed the film, to be honest. It's funny because like it had this error of like, you're in the film kind of playing yourself, but like you're a dick in it. Right. So it's like, okay, everybody's
is that acting or not? We don't know.
Tom Hazard got to just kind of come across as like, I always see him as this like daunting, like he'll just mother F you up and down if you cross him or something. But no, it's a great reception on Dwellers, man. And
well, one of two things: either people really like it, or it's been a pandemic year and there's no movies or content. So they're like, we'll take whatever we can get. All right, we're going to give you all the awards. So, but either way, it really is. It's really cool. I know, very little about the film business. I know probably Jeff and we've made a ton of music videos, and that's probably the extent of my, mostly being in front of the camera. But it's Drew's a lovely guy. He's got a very likable nature about him. He's a Midwest kid, and I just love people who are creative and just come up with bizarre, crazy ideas, and he's one of those guys. And when we sit on these Zoom calls with each other, we are too. You know what I mean? And we're just kind of a little loony, a little left to center. And that's my tribe. That's who I like hanging out with. So why not? Let's do it.
I want in on this because I'm a writer myself. I just finished up on a college football documentary, and I've been talking to Drew, and I'm like, we need to do something together. We just need, we need to all get in on one together one of these times, because we always got some good ideas from our end. So yeah, we need to do that sometime, and that'd be great, because I think that what you guys do, why not expand out into things like horror films and coffee, and you've just done, why not?
I got to see this thing. It's not the first time I'm hearing about this. How come I haven't heard?
Yeah, I should send you a link. I know. We're funny. We're in a band together. It's like, wait, you're married? I didn't even know. Well, you have kids? Wow.
You live in Arizona?
Exactly.
It's really good.
You live down the street from me here in LA.
We're so busy in our own little bubble, right? Our own little isolation.
Yeah, Drew 48 is such like he just has this like really nice and this lovable face about him, and he's everything about him, and so you really have the sense of dread during the film when things start to go south. It's a found footage.
Well,
style.
And the funny thing is my first thought was, well, hey man, why don't we like write a soundtrack? Because I always go to the music. He goes, it's found footage. There is no soundtrack.
Oh, damn it.
I'm like, oh,
okay.
See, I learn something new every day, so what do I know? I'm in a band, so
well,
little things.
Guys, I have enjoyed it so much. Before I let you go, we always do this with David. We'll try to get him some new questions, but then we end with our final 4 drum roll, which is 4 quick questions, 2 for each of you in this case, and we'll get you guys out of here. Sound good?
All right. Sounds good.
I got to put you on the spot with this first one. Jeff Scott Soto.
Wait. If David's done this before, I want all 4. Well, come on.
You want 4?
Take them.
Well, no, I'm going to give you
sit back and enjoy this.
No. I got to give you the hard one. So, and so this you won't want another one. Who wins a Bake Off, Billy Sheehan or David Ellefson?
Well, it's not because I'm in a band with both of the guys. Even David would agree. Billy's pretty much is the king. If you were going to throw in like a Jeff Berlin or a Jaco Pastorius, then I'd be like, oh my God, why'd you why'd you put that in the mix? But Billy Sheehan is my king. He's my god. The same as Eddie Van Halen is my god on the guitar. You know,
I'd vote for Billy. So yeah, you're good.
I mean, of course, as far as chums, you know, and somebody I speak to regularly, and somebody who's more in my life, even though I've known Billy for over 30 some odd years, I go with David on that one. But only because Billy's Billy. He's got crazy stuff going on in his world, and he's very private, and he does his things. And the only time I really see and talk to Billy is when we're working together. But David and I pretty much texting each other and speaking to each other every day now. So I'm closer to David now, but Billy
I'll keep practicing. So one day Jeff will go, I think David Ellefson's my guy.
Hey, you've got the age factor going for you, David. That's not bad.
I got a few years. I can still keep working at it.
Okay. David, what is, in a perfect world, what's the first concert you see when things get back to normal? And you can't say a Megadeth Lamb of God show either.
Well, that was one I was going to say,
I
because
know.
that's probably the first one that I'm going to be at.
Well,
you know, the first one, well, I don't know what else is
it'll
out
be
there.
Kiss again.
Yeah, I mean, I see Kiss is going to go to Australia, Japan. Guns N' Roses are doing Australia. You know, I think Europe's probably going away this, you know, which sucks because those are the big festivals. I mean, you see your friends and you know, you get to see your, you know, I remember playing at a festival. It was, you know, like 6 a.m. and then we played, and right after us was Queen on the main stage at Sweden Rock. And right after Queen was King Diamond. I mean, you're like, come on, like King and Queen, you know, back and forth. You know, like, in fact, I was in the pit with Portnoy and Lizzie Hale. We're like just fanboying. We're like doing air drum to the Roger Taylor drum, you know.
Awesome.
Whatever. Yeah. I mean, it was just one of those moments. I mean, who isn't a Queen fan, you know? So that's the beauty of these festivals, is you always see someone that you're a fan of. So it sucks that I think most of these festivals are, you know, at least the Europe stuff is going to probably go away this year. So
yeah, Sweden Rock just announced it's it.
Oh,
it's
really?
Done.
Yeah. They waited to the 11th hour, and they just announced the other day that unfortunately we got to do it next
I
year.
don't know if I could do another summer of this, guys.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you, it's been rough.
So I mean, again, back to okay. So I won't say Megadeth, Lamb of God, but it could be In Flames or Trivium, because they will be opening the Megadeth.
That's
Lamb
true.
of God. So I'll see them.
That's called
go
a
to
loophole.
catering, run out, catch some In Flames, and so there we go.
I love it. I love it. And we hope that happens. I'm going to do everything possible to, you guys are supposed to be here at the Sprint Center August 7th. And until it's not, we're going to say it is.
Yep.
Jeff, for you, better fictional band, Steel Dragon or Spinal Tap?
Spinal Tap.
Wow.
Spinal Tap. Steel Dragon fictional is a great band for a serious band, but I'll take the comedy. And
they had better songs.
Every time.
You guys had better songs, though.
Well, that's you know, that's opinion. I love.
I listened to
Tap.
the Rockstar soundtrack. Steel Dragon. Come on, man! I forget.
Yeah,
me and Roman, my boy, we were driving home from the beach last year, listening to. In fact, that was one of the first things they said. I said, "Hey, Roman, I'm going to work with Jeff." And I said, "Oh man, tell him how great the freaking Rockstar movie is." You know,
awesome.
So it's, yeah.
See?
And you know, it's funny because that was another missed opportunity. I think Megadeth played when there was a
we were like the fluff band.
Yeah.
Like in pornos, they have the fluff girl or the fluff guy.
And I had a tour that just started like the week prior overseas, and I missed because they invited me for the filming. I mean, there was even talk they were trying to get me cast to actually be the voice, to be the actor behind the voice, and unfortunately Jason Fleming was fortunately, because he's an actor and he did a great job, but that would have been amazing to actually be in the movie. But hey, you know what? My voice is in the movie. I'll take it. My voice is on a lot of these stadium soundtracks, from hockey to football to basketball. I've heard stand up numerous times, and I'll take it.
And I'm just going to sit there. If I'm listening to actual music, I'm going to listen to Living the Life over Big Bottom any day. Have you ever sat down and listened to Big Bottom? Like, come on. I love Spinal Tap. I love Spinal Tap. Come on. But
and I've never played any Spinal Tap stuff live, where I have played pretty much all the stuff I've sung on the soundtrack, on the Steel Dragon soundtrack thing, Rockstar soundtrack. I've played most of those songs live.
And for you, David, the final one, we're going to forego our typical blabbermouth new Megadeth album update headline. This question, because I was such a fan of the Maximum Rock Tour 2000. You, Motley Crue, Anthrax for a minute. but you were on, was it VH1's The List, Best Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll band with Nikki and Vince. And what was just your best or worst memory from that tour?
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Making you think.
One of the things that's cool is to meet Paul Crook, who was the guitar player in Anthrax at that time, who now
that's right.
Anchored with
Phenomenal.
Love produces, mixes. I mean, writes. I mean, he's Meat's. I hate to say Meat's right hand. That doesn't sound right. Right hand, right? Musical kind of guy, right? That was a good one.
That's a band name.
I remember in being in Mexico City, and I don't think the Motley Boys were sober at that time. So there's kind of two Motleys. There's the sober Motley and the not sober Motley, and they were, I think, kind of wiggling and then off the cliff on that one. And I remember actually two things. So I remember Mexico City, we played. Megadeth's very popular there on our own. And I remember coming back to the hotel and, the next day, see the guys at the airport, and Nicky's like, man, Motley Crue will have this habit of jumping off the stage and fighting, in the audience, like beating people up, like by song 1 or 2, just bang, straight off the stage, fights are breaking out. And that happened there. I was just somewhere recently. I went to a chiropractor, and this was on tour, and I think it might have been in San Antonio, of all places, when I was just doing some solo dates back in October. And the chiropractor goes, ma'am, the introduction on your Megadeth. He goes, I went out to see you guys. You were playing with Motley Crue, and we were hired by, to treat Motley Crue backstage. And then you guys, they got all pissed off because you guys grabbed us to come and, probably me to get a chiropractic adjustment. Right. And so we sort of like snaked the fucking chiropractor away from him. Right. And I remember because Nicky, Nicky he was telling me about this book that he was going to write called The Dirt. And I remember just outside, by the dressing rooms, and he was talking about, the whole thing with Sylvia Rowan and Tommy left the band. And it was just a moment, and I didn't know what to think of it, more than Nicky was pissed off and probably disgruntled and, a lot of fuck those guys and, that kind of stuff. But he was in that headspace to start writing the book. And, Nicky became one of these authors between The Dirt, obviously, which has, it's a genre basically of tell-all books and the style of how it's written. In fact, I kind of wrote my last memoir, More Life with Death, kind of like that. And in fact, I kind of took it from, there's a Kiss book called Nothing to Lose, which is all about the first 3 Kiss albums. And you'll have a quote from Gene and Paul, and then from a manager and a guitar tech and, girl who was hanging around. So,
right.
that style that Nicky did with The Dirt was clever. I mean, it started like a whole new style of writing memoirs. Of course, the movie is amazing. And then Nicky, when he did, his follow-up with Heroin Diaries. So, Nicky's a creative guy, man. And he's got very clever angles on stuff and is definitely a leader.
Well, that is awesome. I'm glad I went that route. That was, I was 16 in Kansas City, saw that tour. And that was the first, I mean, this is the typical story you've heard a million times, but that was the first time I ever saw boobs at a concert. I was 16, Maximum Rock Tour 2000. Cool.
Did you smell any weed, man?
Yeah. We introduced you to boobs. Awesome.
I wasn't. Yeah, my mom warned me about that weed stuff, and I was not going to go down that route. So
no, I'm just saying, all you have to do is breathe and Motley Crue.
Cover your nose and cover your eyes.
Exactly.
Yeah, oh man, you guys, this is awesome. I hope everybody checks out Ellefson-Soto. You might have to change that name to, what was it? Hand meets meat beats meat. We're gonna change the name.
Meets right hand man.
Meets right hand. Yeah. Meets
I'm just saying, if that comes up, you heard it here first, guys. Thanks so much, David. I'm sure we'll talk to you here in a week or two. For you, Jeff, hopefully it's not like 3 or 4 years this next time, man. We always enjoy it, brother.
Right on.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Glenn. See you.
You bet.